Today I'm going to be showing you a bunch of tips that I have figured out or been told over my time playing that aren't really super apparent when you start playing the game, or even when you've been playing for a while. The game doesn't tell you much about these things, but they're super useful. Let's start off with some of the more basic things. This option is ticked off by default. This means that you can see other people's items, but you can't pick them up, like so. If you keep this option on, then it will only allow you to see items that you can pick up. Items can be picked up after about a minute or so if they've been on the floor and the original owner hasn't picked them up. There's not really much reason not to have this on all the time, because it helps you only see drops that you can pick up, which is really convenient when you're farming in the same spot as someone else. Holding Alt can show you item names on the floor, which is convenient when you're only looking to pick up certain items, or if items are hiding behind scenery like trees. Additionally, if you hold Alt and press the number corresponding to the bag that you want to open, it will open it. For example, if I press Alt and 1, it will open my first bag. If I press Alt and 3, it will open my third bag. You can also just press B to open your backpack, so that you don't have to deal with the first inventory. This works with the card book too. If you hold Shift and press the corresponding number instead. Holding Control makes it impossible for you to pick up an item. The name also disappears. This makes it easy to click the Digimon that you're trying to fight, instead of picking up drops that you don't want. Loading battle cards fast is pretty important when you're grinding for a long time or you just need to be fast during a dungeon. We're going to go through two different methods. Both include having the cards that you want to put on the first attack in the first 3 slots. After you've got the cards set that you want to use, start the battle. I'm going to show two side-by-side comparisons of two different methods that are quite popular. The method you choose depends on what you prefer. Personally, I use 1-2-3-1-2-3 because it stops me from getting wrist pain. Both these methods will equip the 3 cards that you've got in your first 3 slots. The lag radar can help you find mostly gold and silver bosses around the world that you're searching for. Basically, the first time a Digimon model is loaded in is when you walk into close proximity of it. This gives your client a few frames of lag. The amount of lag you get sometimes depends on how big the mob is, or just the model in general. Either way, this lag is always consistent. It's important to know that this only happens the first time they load in to you on that map. So if you've already loaded them in, then you'll have to exit the map and re-enter the map to get the lag again when they're nearby. I'll show you an example in this clip. If you're against multiple enemies, they will stagger their attacks. This is different depending on the amount of Digimon you're attacking. For example, if we're against 5 enemies, 2 of the enemies will get their TP bars filled before the other 3. You can safely put defense cards on for the first 2 enemies, and then put attack cards on to attack between their attacks and the next enemy's attacks. This is particularly useful when leveling in places like Water Space Solo and Baihu Dungeon, where your Digimon might die if you haven't got defense cards on at the right time. Here's a list for how many enemy Digimon will attack before the rest of the Digimon. Keep in mind this only counts for Digimon with the same speed. The default amount of enemies in a battle varies depending on the tier of Digimon you're facing. This can vary in some dungeons where it will allow, for example, L Digimon to have 3 to 5 enemies, or even 1 to 5 enemies. I won't go into the specifics of the different dungeons, but you can change most encounters outside of dungeons with Uggs boots. These will affect B, V, or E encounters to always have 5 Digimon at once. Which brings us to our next point. Drop rate is affected by the amount of Digimon that are in the battle. What I mean by this is, if you're fighting a Digimon that you want the materials of, fighting one of them will give you much less drop rate than fighting 5 of them. This is why you should always use Ugg boots when you can, when you're farming for specific items outside of dungeons. Each additional Digimon will give you an additional chance to drop another item. Using a multi-hit attack without an 100% accuracy card such as Golden Drills, Fenrirs, or Avalons will split the damage among the enemies you're fighting. The damage reduction compared to versus a single enemy is as follows. As you can see, using a Golden Drill on 5 enemies versus not using any card is an effective 5 times damage boost, which is why it's important to stock up on Golden Drills or Fenrir cards. when you are doing dungeons. That's it for the video today. Please let me know if you found it helpful. I have a few more tips, but they're a bit too niche for me to do for this video, but perhaps I will do a separate video in the future. As always, thanks for watching. Bye.